Hey, welcome to my channel. Okay, so you saw the other trade that the Mets did. Basically, it's kind of weird what they're doing. I don't, I don't know what their plan is honestly, because I have no idea what Stearns and Cohen's plan is. Basically, because originally when they trade Nimmo for Seaman or Semyon, Marcus Semyon, I'm like, what are we gaining here? What are we losing? Because reality is like it seems like it was an even swap. I don't know, because like it, Nimmo offensively is better than Semyon, but the problem is like Semyon defensively, I don't know where he's at right now. I mean, he's around the same age, maybe a little bit. But the question is like, how is his defense as well too? Because like, the whole purpose of Stearns was to get Nimmo is basically for defense. He was thinking about more defense and offense nowadays, more than anything else, which makes sense, and I understand that from that perspective. But again, the way to build defense versus you got to start with your pitching and then build around it basically. So that's what I was a little confused about. Basically, I don't know what he was doing there. And then, I mean, honestly, after you traded away, Nimmo for Semi, you go and sign, Devin Williams. This is after we lost Diaz. I mean, the whole thing is like we couldn't sign Diaz, but we decide to basically, and we lose, of course, Alonso as well, a big bat and a big uh, closer, and we signed Devin Williams. I mean, honestly, why? Because the dude really didn't really do much with the Yankees, honestly. Um, I, I honestly don't know what's the purpose of him basically at this point. Because like, can he really help out in the long term? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, not long term, but like, can he help in the short term? Honestly, um, it seems like this was more of a reactionary thing after losing Diaz more than anything else. And then of course Jorge Polanco basically is after losing uh, after we lost Alonso. It was like I don't know what Polanco brings to the plate more so compared to what with Alonso. I mean, I'm hoping the case is like with Alonso, Alonso drives off, goes off the cliff, and basically he's like considerably far more worse offensively speaking. And the other aspect is basically like defensively from a defensive perspective, Polanco. I'm hoping he really does more better than what Alonso was. I mean, Alonso was decent. He wasn't great, but he's no Gold Glover. Like, and I'm hoping Polanco could become that Gold Glover. And then of course we signed Weaver, which I have no idea what that makes, where that goes. Quite honestly, that makes absolutely no sense. Quite honestly, but I think we're just trying to build up the bullpen after we lost quite a few players that we traded for, and then of course then trading Jeff McNeil. It made sense. I mean, I'm surprised that they got anyone to basically. I'm surprised that we actually got anything for him. Quite honestly, I thought we were going to bunch of scrubs, but I'm hoping Jordan Rodriguez. He's he's 18 or something like that, or 19. I can't remember the exact age, but the fact of the matter is, I don't know in the depth chart how far he is in the depth chart, but I mean in the A's depth chart, he's like 13th as pitcher wise 13th, not overall. I think. The fact of the matter is, I don't know what we're going to get out of it. Maybe we can use him, Rodriguez, as trade bait down the line. I mean, that's a possibility. I don't know, but again, I have no idea where like Stearns and I have no idea what Stearns and Cohen's plan is. Quite honestly, because quite honestly, we lose Alonso. If you're going to lose Alonso, I mean, the next best thing was you go from Murakami or Murakami basically. I mean, he's coming out of Japan. He's their slugger. Granted, he's prone to a little bit of injury, but reality is like he would have been that sort of replacement for Alonso because Soto and Lindor, 1, 2, once you have Lindor in front and then Soto batting behind him, problem is you have no one batting behind Soto. If you're assuming that Vientos and Batter are going to be those players, I don't think so. Polanco's definitely not going to be that guy. So Murakami would have made more sense. Then Soto would have adjusted at that point. I don't know. Now, of course, there are rumors, of course, with the fact of the reason why Nimmo was let go is because the fact is like apparently, supposedly, his um, political viewpoints more so to the point like Nimmo was more pro-Trump. He wasn't MAGA, but he was definitely pro-Trump. Whereas Lindor and Soto, I mean, these are guys are Dominicans, and like honestly, like it didn't work out really well with them. And their aspect is basically like with Diaz, I don't know what the problem was with Eras, but I think it comes down with McNeil. Well, here's the thing. I think the only thing I can gather right now is getting rid of McNeil, getting rid of Alonso, or letting Alonso leave, getting rid of Nimmo, getting rid of these two basically. It's now becoming more and more like Lindor's team. It seems like Lindor was not the true captain because he couldn't become the true captain because if he wanted to be the true captain, Nimmo and McNeil would have like said, "Hey, we've been here longer. We've been around. We should be the captains, or if not Alonso." And I think by getting rid of these, I think. Sorry, there was a noise in the background. I don't know what that was. Getting rid of these guys, Lindor becomes the true captain, and then Soto follows suit, or Soto becomes the captain. I think Lindor is going to become the captain at this point, and it seems like this kind of clears way for him because like when he was with the Indians, he did really well, and with the Mets, he was doing really well, but it was only when they were doing whatever they were doing at that point. So last year, right? I mean, they didn't really care. They were just playing for the fun of it, and when they were having fun, they were winning. But Soto coming on board, I think Soto was pointing to Marte. He's been here the longest. He's been there the longest, aka longest in the league. So Marte should have been the de facto captain. But reality is Marte hasn't been with the Mets that long compared to Lindor. So in this situation, I think that's where when someone asked Soto that question, I think Soto was trying to step back and you know, you know, kind of be political, sort of being PC from a perspective of like I don't want to ruffle any feathers right now. I'm a new guy, so I'll just say Marte right now. I from that perspective. Reality is should have been Lindor. We all know it should have been Lindor. Nimmo should not have been captain. If there was an issue where if Lindor was trying to be captain, and Nimmo was like kind of putting the kibosh because he was flexing his veteranship in the clubhouse as well as McNeil, then yeah, I can totally understand why you trading them away at that point. But again, that means it's all falling on Lindor at that point, and Lindor has got to step up at this point because quite honestly, Lindor didn't step up as much last year compared to 2 years ago. But with him and Soto, they should be able to do something. And then if the Mets bench comes out of from the minors and does really well, that'd be great too, honestly. But I don't know how this works out from that perspective. Oh, time will only tell. But that's what it seems like for me is basically when they were trading away Nimmo and Neal, they were trying to basically trade away players that would challenge Lindor when he becomes captain because the last captain with the Mets was David Wright. And I felt DeGrom should have been the new captain at that point, but after Wright was gone, DeGrom was not going to be named captain because you had Scherzer and you had you had Scherzer at that point. So reality is DeGrom should have been the captain, never became one. And at that point, they didn't really have a captain since. I think they're trying to make this Lindor seem I think it seems like that's what the vision is. That's what the vision is. Revolve the offense and defense around Lindor. Let the bullpen and the rotation, more so the rotation, be revolved around McLean and Sprout, and maybe even Tong. I don't know. Like I said, I think Tong might be more geared towards a reliever role or a closer role, but maybe he might become a really good, starting pitcher. I don't know, but he's got to develop. And of course, the Mets got a couple more pitchers. But with this trade from McNeil for Rodriguez, maybe Rodriguez becomes. I mean, it's a gamble. It's a crapshoot. But hopefully, he does really well. If he doesn't, well, he could still be trade bait for someone else that we could bring in a more veteran leadership at that point as well too. More specifically for maybe third base, because Batty, as good as he is, defensively speaking, he's not a Gold Glover. We need a Gold Glover out there as well too. And if Stearns' thing was like we need more defense, then it makes no sense to have Vientos and Batty here on the team basically. Because reality is like these guys are defensive liabilities. They could be only good as DH. Mauricio still also the same thing as well too, similar to the point of Acuna. Those four, they should have been the core, but you might have to trade them at that point as well too. And like reality is like bench might become the new core at that point. You're putting it all around Lindor and Soto at that point, but only time will tell. With that, I'll leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Do you think I might be dead on? And the point is, the whole purpose of trading away McNeil and Nimmo was more so not only political aspects of things, but more so, or political viewpoints, but more so to the point like within clubhouse dynamics that they couldn't let Lindor be the captain because these two guys, as well as and Lonzo would have backed up, probably most likely would have been backing up Nimmo and McNeil because quite honestly, these guys were with the Mets much longer. And if they were going to name a captain, they would have objection if it was Lindor, and Alonso would back him at that point. So by letting these two go, like trading these two away, this opens up for Lindor to become the true captain and lead this team. If he's the leader, let him lead this team then at that point. But with that, I'll leave it at that. Again, leave your comment in the comment section. If you have if you agree with me, disagree with me, you're welcome to put whatever you want. I do read them all. I do respond to all comments when they warrant a response. With that, I'll leave it at that. Unfiltered, unedited, of course, always unrehearsed. Until next time.